So, as you've seen in the title, this is how to not start a clothing brand. So, bit of background. I started this clothing brand right after I finished my last job, which was a few years ago. Yeah, even though I spent so much time in it, it kind of didn't pop off, didn't go anywhere. But I kind of know why. Basically, I did a few things wrong, a bunch of them. I guess in the start I didn't have a clear vision in mind. I wanted to do a lot of different things. But now I kind of know what I want and where are the limits of how I want them. So I think that's important, to just have a clear vision from the start. This also connects to the versus your own voice kind of theme, where I didn't want to copy all the trends that were happening in the current time. I wanted to have my own voice, but usually I just take inspiration either way from the big guys, the big fashion houses, and I didn't account that they were also kind of a trend back in the day. So it doesn't matter if you hop on a trend as many times as you need to, because eventually you'll find your voice, but you cannot find your voice out of nowhere. Having a clear vision in mind is important. Another thing, now this goes to logistics and production. It's important that if you don't have resources, just don't go to factories. If you don't have a big investment, you don't need to order 100 units, 1,000 units, nowhere. Just start small, start on an order basis. Just make them in your house, make them in a local like sewing shop, printer shop, whatever. You don't have to go big from the start, especially if you cannot guarantee there's gonna be sales to begin with. So yeah, I made a mistake. I went to check factories in Turkey. Just creating a sample of a clothing piece is gonna run you 300 euros. Especially in Turkey, they charge. So don't bother if you don't have a set community to sell the clothes already. So the next thing is, don't overcharge. I also made the mistake. I thought I made a good piece of, it was actually just a graphic t-shirt. I thought the price I set it to was the price that it deserved. But in reality, no one is gonna pay for a product that doesn't have first followers, quality, or a history of it. If they don't know your brand, nobody's gonna pay the big bucks. So start small, start humble. Next thing, since I didn't have any followers, so my next step was, okay, I'll pay for promotion. I paid for Instagram ads, I paid for Tumblr ads. I got some traction in Tumblr because I think the design I made connected with the people. Everyone liked it, but it was the wrong market because not a single person bought this t-shirt I made. And Instagram just didn't even, I don't even think it's worth it. Not a single like, not a single comment. It was kind of dead in Instagram, so don't go there. And another big thing, I just wasn't consistent. I just didn't put the work to just drop on a schedule, you know? Eventually, if you stop posting, you fade away from people's minds. So I had big periods of going away, big periods of small bursts of consistency, but in the long run, being consistent is what matters. Unless you have already some sort of like legacy or history of making good stuff, but if you're no one, it doesn't matter. So yeah, I mean, these are a few of the big mistakes I made. I had no community, no resources. I was always the perfectionist type, just wouldn't release anything if I didn't 100% believe in it, which I think is a good thing, but like if you're trying to make sales, it shouldn't be that much of a priority, at least in the start. Then when you have more freedom, more resources, when you have a community, then you can focus for a bit. But it's just a balance you have to keep. So for the good stuff, I think I learned a lot of skills. I learned how to use Photoshop, Illustrator. I learned to edit. I learned to make designs that were my own. I learned to photograph. Don't get me wrong, it's all a process. Like, you're not the best from day one, and I'm still not the best. I'm still working on it. But that's one of the good things from starting a brand, that I did learn a lot of skills. I'll share my designs so you can see what I've done. It's not much. Actually, it's nothing. I barely released a whole collection. I've released a bunch of t-shirts. I've made some samples for hoodies and some patches. So it's not much. I have a big archive though of stuff I was testing, but not much more than that. And I'd say the reason I haven't stopped making clothes or thinking about it or just not giving up with this whole project is that finding pieces of clothes that other people have made is really such a big inspiration. Like, I'll show you, I have a big archive of just screenshots of things other designers have made, just huge. I think it's important to know where your references come from. I think it's important to keep them stored, save them, so you can always just go back to them. And I think that's where I have the most fun, just finding new cool stuff and not replicating it. Although, you know what Picasso said, great artists copy, but the best steal. It's kind of true. When you start, you're actually not even designing your own thing. There's no such thing. You're just probably copying from something you've seen. So at least, like, let's be honest about it, you know. But yeah, when I find something I like, I don't steal it, but I try to twist it in my own way. And down the line, that's how you find your voice. That's how Yoi says, that's how most designers think. And yeah, it's just a matter of not giving up. I think that's important.